Hey moms, it's me, Queenie, and you are about to enjoy the Empowering Girl Mom Show. We're about to get started, so please make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with your friends so that more moms know that we are here as a resource to support all of us in up-leveling motherhood. I look forward to joining you in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey moms, it's me, Queenie, and you are about to enjoy the Empowering Girl Mom Show. Hello, and thank you so much for joining me for the Empowering Girl Mom Show. I'm your host, Queenie Brown, and I wanted to welcome you to today's show. This is going to be a good one, moms. We're going to really be going deep today. I hope you're ready. Today's topic is healing for toxic. Today's topic is healing for toxic love relationships. And boy, can I talk about this one. But I can't wait to introduce our speaker to you today. But before we do, I want to just remind you that the Empowering Girl Mom Show is all about pouring into the hearts and minds and lives of moms. Our goal is for all of us to lock arms throughout this journey and to journey through it together. So every day when you hear a speaker, you'll have 48 hours to listen to their video, take it all in, and make sure that you document your notes. Write down the things that you want to take down as action items and then apply them into your lives. Because the goal here is for all of us together to move through each of these speakers, implement it, apply it, and then at the end of this opportunity, we want to be able to hear your testimony. We want to see how it impacted your life. We want to see change, right? This is a transformational Mother's Month experience. So take advantage of every opportunity to do that. And then for those of you who are power moms and want to go deeper, on Mondays and Wednesdays, we're going to take it a step further and we'll have a heart-to-heart with me immediately following the interviews. And we can go a little bit deeper, get a little bit more meat off the bone, talk a little bit more about our intimate stories. It's more private and it's just where we can really get a whole lot more out of the experience. So for those of you who want to participate in that, you'll also have access to the replays and recordings of everything. So that would include all of the speakers, all of the heart to hearts, and we have a speakers roundtable and a teachers roundtable at the end. So don't miss out on that opportunity. All right. Okay, so let's see. We are talking today about healing from toxic love relationships. And I'm not going to go into my story just yet. You all already know a little bit about me. But today, our speaker has a powerful, powerful message. Her name is Miss Melissa Brown. And let me tell you a little bit about Melissa. She knows firsthand the challenges of balancing family and professional life. She teaches women how to balance their energy, and that's what we really need to understand, right? Right, moms? Instead of the common goal of managing our time. And that's what we do. We're constantly trying to manage the moments, but instead we need to figure out how to manage our energy and to know when it's being depleted, when it's being enhanced. We just need to become more sensitive to that. And so Melissa's going to help us. Now, through intimate spiritual retreats and virtual coaching groups, Melissa has a way of helping women to reclaim the parts of themselves that are often forgotten in the hustle and the bustle of marriage, mothering, and everyday life. And so I can't wait to have this conversation. I'm super excited to introduce you all to Miss Melissa Brown. Hello.
Hello, hello. So good to be here.
I'm so glad to have you, and I'm sure our power moms can't wait to get into it. So let's talk about it. We're talking about healing for toxic love relationships, and I had to take a deep breath on that.
Yes.
Because I just exited a 30-year toxic love
Mhm.
relationship.
Wow.
And yeah, wow. And I could never have calculated the cost, even while I was in
Mhm.
it. I could not have calculated the cost and the detriment that was my life, my health, my career, my kids, my friends, my future, my hope, everything was wrapped up in the chaos of this toxic love relationship. And when it fell apart, everything fell apart. Well, let me say that
Mhm.
differently. Everything had already fallen apart. They were just
Mhm.
held together by duct tape.
Yes. Yes.
And then I allowed everything to fall apart when I let go of that. And I moved my family, my girls and I moved from Atlanta all the way here to California. And so it has been quite a transition. And I've since been involved in some women's groups that have been support
Mhm.
groups, and it's been encouraging. But the piece that has been sad is hearing all the different stories of all the
Mhm.
different women in all walks of life who put all of themselves into this toxic love relationship. That's not even love, but into this toxic bondage union that has destroyed them in so many ways. And we're left to
Yes.
pick up the pieces. So I wanted to talk to you about that and put my story out there first so that we can just kind of have that as a foundation. And then ironically, you, Miss Melissa, were on my healing path. That's where we crossed paths. And you
Yes.
were instrumental in helping me to walk a few more steps in my own healing. So I want to say thank you for that. And that's why I wanted to
Mm.
bring you here to share some of your wisdom with the rest of the community.
Yes. Well, let me just first say, Queenie, I mean, thank you. Anytime I have the opportunity to share with women and specifically moms, I am there. And I just want to applaud you for what you are doing and the intention of uplifting us and giving us the tools that we need to be healthy and whole. And then I also want to personally say to you concerning your own journey, I celebrate you because you are one of the few who has the courage to
Mm,
heal and to change. Ironically, as you were talking about, holding things together with duct tape and allowing it to fall apart, I just said that. I didn't use the duct tape metaphor, but I literally was just talking about, particularly for high achieving women, our need to be the glue who holds things together at all cost. And very often it is costing more than you know.
mhm.
And part of the divine assignment is to allow things to fall apart so that it can be properly rebuilt.
Amen to that.
So, and so I'm just very happy for you that you had the courage to move through that process.
Amen. Thank you for that. I
Mhm.
appreciate that. Whew. It was a journey, girl.
Yes.
It's still a journey, girl.
Yep. Yep.
But we get to be strong enough to do it because we have what we need on the inside of us.
Yeah. And what I know is very often, I think the motivation, even though a lot of toxic relationships pay, it takes a toll on us as women. And I can say in my own relationship, my own marriage of almost 18 years
Mm,
that ended in divorce, I tolerated a lot, even as a therapist, even
mhm,
as a minister, even while I'm helping women to be free. There were many things that I accepted and allowed.
mhm,
And, we tell ourselves lots of stories around, trying to make things okay that are not okay.
girl.
However, the line for many women is when you see the impact on your children.
That that was my line.
That becomes the game changer.
Mhm.
Um, and part of what I want to talk about today is the empowerment that happens when you have the courage to see where you are and to make a decision that this cannot continue because I will not pass this toxic legacy onto my daughters.
Yes, yes. Because the truth is we're teaching them. And with me,
Absolutely.
you tolerated, girl, I have a list. I actually made a list of the things that I was tolerating. And I realized that I'm training my children to tolerate
Hmm.
mistreatment. I'm
Hmm.
training them to tolerate disrespect. I'm training them to accommodate bullying. I'm training them literally,
Hmm.
oh, don't do this and don't do that. Well,
Yeah.
you're teaching them to shift and mold themselves to fit somebody else's
Yes. Yeah.
attitude, their outbursts or whatever it is. And is that really what I want to teach my girls? Is that it's just
Exactly.
empowering. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in many ways, because a lot of times, we feel like things don't impact children because we will say to them, this is not how you act, or don't do these things. But children don't do what we say, they do what we do.
Yes.
So, so when they see us compromising, when
Mm-hmm.
they see us tolerating the intolerable, like you said, that becomes the blueprint for how to be in relationship.
Right.
It becomes almost their guidance, their guide to life,
Mm-hmm.
for them to know, oh, this is what I can expect in a
Mm,
relationship because this
mm,
is what my mother experiences.
mm. Or it's their norm.
Now, yes, it becomes normalized.
Ooh.
Now, a lot of times what we don't realize, and this is the work that I get to do, is we often don't realize that we learned it from somewhere as a mom, as a
Mm-hmm.
woman,
Mm-hmm.
that there are other women in our family that we saw do certain things. And sometimes we are repeating that. And then there are other times that we may not have received a lot of what we needed. And so we may be on the opposite end
Mm,
of, okay, well, since I'm coming from women who tolerated nothing and women who may not have been nurturing at all. Now I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum and I tolerate everything and
mm,
I'm too nice and I'm too kind because, and all of it is reactive to your childhood experience. So whether you are mimicking and repeating or whether you are reacting to
mm.
what you didn't want. And I call that in my community, the work that I do, I call that a soul wound because it is a wound at a soul level. It's deeper than just, oh, my parents were divorced. It's deeper than just, oh, I may have witnessed domestic violence when I was growing up, or I grew up with a parent who had substance abuse issues. It's deeper than that because as children, we make all of those incidents mean something. You don't even realize that you're doing it. So
Mhm.
it's not the incident that has power. It's not your childhood trauma. And trauma can mean many things. Let me be clear, because some people think you have to be heavily abused to be traumatized.
Mhm.
Trauma can be being alone and not having anybody to talk to for most of your childhood because your parents were too busy and too occupied.
Mm,
Trauma can be a 5-year-old who's a latchkey kid who sits at home for hours with no one to make them dinner, and they are a mini adult.
mhm,
So trauma can be on multiple levels. And and again, it's not so much the thing that's happening, it is what the child and I'll say the little girl in me made that mean.
right, right.
And so for me, that's how a soul wound starts.
Mhm.
There are four
Okay.
that God shared with me when I was in my own process. And this was while I was in a marriage that was not healthy because I kept trying to figure out, why can't I fix this?
Girl,
I
say
can fix
that.
everything else.
Yes.
I was helping other people in their marriage stay together. Some people were able, to stay together. Not every marriage has to end in divorce. So how could I be so skilled at helping people to do that, or helping a woman to be free if she needed to leave? How could I be doing all of that and suffering in my own area and just couldn't seem to get a breakthrough? And God literally downloaded some stuff to me and said, because of these wounds right here.
Mm,
And ironically, it's interesting that you've already named one of them. One is the soul wound of chaos.
woo,
So again, what does a child make it mean when you grow up and you don't know what to expect from one moment to the next? When
mm,
you don't know if the lights are going to be on. You don't know if you're going to be evicted. You know, in abuse households, you don't know if a fight's breaking out tonight. It's Friday
Right, right,
or
right.
it's Tuesday. Who knows how everyone's on eggshells. All of the unpredictability is a
Mm,
soul wound of chaos. And very often, because every soul wound desires something, has a need, and what the number one need when there is a wound of chaos is safety and stability.
mm,
So very often, this is just to give some grace to those who have been in relationships for a long time, that you probably, when you really think about it, maybe I shouldn't have been in that long.
mm,
Maybe I shouldn't have stayed on a job that long that really did not serve me.
mm.
But when your need is safety and stability, those are often my women who stay too long. They
Wow.
cannot imagine putting themselves at risk, very often financially,
Mm-hmm.
and going back to chaos
That was me.
because everything has to be predictable.
Mm. Wow, that's so interesting. And it's interesting for a couple of reasons because I didn't grow up in chaos like what was in my marriage, but that was his background.
Mm-hmm.
Major chaos. That was
Yeah.
all it
So he
was.
was recreating it. He was
He-
recreating chaos.
right, but because I was in it so long, I became indoctrinated into it.
Yes.
And that's the part that we have to
Yes.
realize when you
Yes.
marry someone, you as your whole person, whether you're
You're
broken or
right.
not, and them as their whole person, whether they're broken or not, you become together and all of their brokenness becomes your brokenness.
Yes.
And they're
It
broken
becomes
and
it exactly.
you
And
absorb
so
the woundedness.
exactly. And I'm a witness of that because my husband, I would probably say that is his soul wound, was
Mm-hmm.
chaos. A lot of instability in his childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like a bull in a china shop.
Mm-hmm.
He could not settle. He couldn't, even when things were safe and secure, in his soul, he was unsettled. And that permeated throughout the house.
Mm.
So when my daughter, my oldest, started having panic attacks, that's when I said, oh, that's enough.
Mm.
Because the spirit of chaos was starting to make people have anxiety. I was having anxiety.
Mm-hmm. I had panic
And
attacks
and
too.
I would and I wasn't, in domestic violence, so to speak, in the traditional
Mm-hmm.
walk on eggshells because you don't know if you're going to get slapped or hit. It wasn't that. It was just the energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, However, my core soul wound is the soul wound of emotional neglect.
Mm. Ooh.
So the soul wound of emotional neglect is all of your basic needs are met. So it's very different from maybe the financial piece that comes with the chaos,
Mhm.
but all your needs are met. But who's checking for you emotionally?
Mm.
Who's saying, how was your day? Who's nurturing you? Who's asking you, are you okay? So I was the person who was constantly asking other people, even from a child, are you okay? No one was asking me. And what that created, because remember I said every soul wound has a need. The number one need in emotional neglect is to be loved.
Mm. Ooh, girl.
And so I wanted to be loved so much, I created a whole career.
Right? Look,
I
me
got a
too.
bachelor's degree, I got a master's degree. Every single degree I have is all around care.
Mm. Girl. Me too.
And exactly. And I've always been caring for others and making sure they're okay because we often do for others what we really need to do for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, this is hitting home for me. I think this is one of mine. I can remember
Mhm,
wishing that I had more understanding from my father. I wished that
mhm.
he saw me and could
Yeah.
could appreciate who I am,
Mhm.
but I was too deep for him, and he'd be like, "Oh God," you know.
Yeah.
And so
Just
I'm
wanting
like
to be
constantly,
understood.
just
Yeah.
constantly trying to do what else can I do? Although from the outside, everyone looking in is
Mhm.
like, your dad adores you.
Mhm.
He has you on such a high pedestal. But I wasn't feeling it. I
Right.
needed that emotional connection. And so like,
Yeah, the love.
yeah, so now here it is. I created a whole community and a whole
Mhm.
show to love on folks.
But the difference is, it is now from, when you do it from a healed place, you're
Mhm.
not looking for the other to fill you up.
Right.
So
Right.
I spent half of my marriage before, like I said, God had to work on me,
Mhm.
realizing number one, I couldn't fix him. That wasn't the assignment.
Mm.
Because even though I was a helper, there was always this unconscious agenda of, if I do this for you, you're going to love
Mm.
me.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
That finally I get to get something. You're going to pour into me. If I pour my everything into you, that you're going to pour your all on me.
Right.
And what you learn in time, if y'all haven't learned it yet, is very often when we are wired that way to give and give and give, you don't end up with givers, you end up with takers.
Yes.
So it's not, oh, if I give more and I give more, finally people are going to wake up and realize, oh, let me love on Queenie. Let me love on No, that's not how it works. They're going to keep asking for more.
Mhm. And keep
And
taking.
because we do it um, almost on automatic, what ends up happening is, like you said, we begin to teach other people that we don't even need anything because you're so busy meeting everybody else's needs.
And then you end up depleted and your body breaks down and now you're
And resentful,
and bitter and
mad.
right, you mad at everybody, slamming and snatching,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because look at everything I've done
Right.
and I'm still empty.
Mm. Wow.
So, so I mean, so that's the soul wound of emotional neglect.
Mhm.
There's a soul wound of rejection, which is a very common one.
Mm.
Because what happens when you're a little kid, because let me say this, soul wounds occur between like 6 and 9.
Mhm.
And so what happens when a 9-year-old is getting picked apart because she talks too much, air quotes,
Mhm.
because why are you dressed like that? Why do you look like that? Why,
Mhm.
girl, do something with your hair. Stop dancing around. You need to sit down. You do too much.
Mhm.
And so there are some families, particularly if you grew up with very critical parents, where there is an aspect of you that is just you, but it's unacceptable to those you love. And
Mm.
it creates a soul wound of rejection. And what the soul wound of rejection craves is affirmation and
Mm.
validation. Please tell me I'm enough.
Mm.
I don't have to tell you how that creates people pleasing. I don't have to tell you how that creates you saying yes to stuff you ought to say no to, but you don't, you just want to be accepted. You just want
Mm.
people to applaud you. It has you volunteering for things that you don't have time to do.
Or interest or skills. You
Or
could be
right.
baking for the whole Girl Scouts
Yeah,
and knowing you don't need to be in the kitchen.
right.
You
Just
know?
so people can say you're a great mom.
Right, right, right. Ooh, girl, that one hit
Yeah.
home for me. I remember my sister Ronnie, who has since gone on to be with the Lord.
Mm,
She used to laugh about how as soon as I was born, she was so angry that I was here
wow.
that she would pinch me as a baby. She thought that if she could pinch me enough, I would cry enough that my mom would send me away. So imagine how much she was trying to
Wow.
make me cry as a baby.
Wow.
Right, that part.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
as an adult, "Ooh, girl, I was always just pinching you every chance I get." And I'm thinking, "Lord have mercy, no wonder I'm over here like, don't you like."
Yeah. Yeah. Don't you like me? Don't
Right,
you
I'm
don't,
I'm
you know,
trying. Like,
I'm over here trying. Don't you like me? Don't you love me? And
oh,
yeah,
girl.
yeah. It definitely creates a wound that will have you reject yourself before you ever go even in the room.
Girl. Ooh,
Will
that.
have you standing in the back when God is saying, move up to the front.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The last one that I'll share, and like I said, I know I can talk all day
I could, I could listen.
about these wounds, is the wound of abandonment.
Mm,
And I think this one is really significant in the context of being a mom,
mm,
because what the wound of abandonment is when there is a, most of the time, a parent, or I'll just say whoever was caring for you, the caretaker has left with no intention of returning.
mm,
And sometimes that is deliberate, and sometimes that happens by way of death.
mm,
But the wound is still the same. The wound is no one is here for me.
mm,
And what the soul wound of abandonment craves more than anything is for somebody to show up. Can
mm,
you just show up for me? But hear this, Queenie, the way it plays out most often is in women over showing up for others.
mm,
So you had everything. You celebrating everybody. You're doing all of the things, particularly as a mom. If this is your core wound, a lot of times we won't miss anything. We will run ourselves into the ground because we don't want it ever to be said, you missed an assembly, you missed an award ceremony, you missed a game. Nope, that will not be your child's story. I was there. But
mhm,
the question becomes, are you showing up for you?
mm, mm.
And
Wow.
so often we will pick up the baton of abandonment in
Mm,
our adulthood. And I love this. It shows up like this very often with high achievers where you don't even celebrate yourself. The reality is you don't even see yourself. So, so when somebody says, oh my gosh, Quinny, you did that. That's awesome. You're like, yeah. And it's like you hear it and don't hear it.
ooh, girl.
Not
Mm,
even there to hear your own applause.
mm.
But you front row for your babies.
So okay, so you read my mail the whole time we've been here. Now I got all these dang wounds. I didn't look. I started this conversation. I was fine. Now we got to go back on the couch.
Yeah,
Oh Lord.
it make you think. Well,
Right.
and
Well,
it's a work in progress. It's healing is not a one-time event.
fully understood. So the what's interesting though is I look at all of these and I think about what you just said. First of all, is so deep because even can I have a vulnerable moment with all of you guys, including y'all? Um,
Mhm,
it's hard for me to toot my own horn. It's
mhm,
hard for me to even promote this event, even though this is going to be beautiful and it's going to make an impact to all these women. But there's something in me that won't show up for me like I need to anymore. And I used to
mhm,
not be that way.
mhm,
So, what do we do, girl? What do we
mhm.
mercy God.
Well, first of all, I mean, you have an awareness. You have to wake up to yourself.
Mm,
Um, this year, I host retreats all the time, but the word that God gave me for 2024 is homecoming,
mm,
because this is the year that women must come home to themselves.
mm,
And it makes me, and y'all, I'm a minister, so scriptures just float in my mind, but
mhm,
it makes me think about the story about the prodigal when he came to himself,
mm.
where you look around, and in his case, he's sitting in a pig pen. What is a Jewish boy sitting in a pig pen for?
Right?
When you have a heavenly father, when you are a woman with a God,
Mm,
and you begin to look at what am I doing here? And
Mm,
as the scriptures say, he came to himself and said, let me get up out of here and go home.
mm,
I got to go home. And
mm,
so in 2024, home may not be some palace or a physical place, but it is coming back to the center of who I am in God,
mhm,
that I mean something to God.
mhm.
And I think that has to be the starting place where as we talked about, even in your journey, in my journey, of allowing the chips to fall where they may,
Yeah,
that I'm coming up out of this.
yeah.
And it may not look like, leaving a marriage. It just may mean I'm coming up out of ignoring myself and
Mm,
treating my own self like I'm invisible.
mm,
I'm coming out of being on mute
mm,
when I'm a woman who has a whole lot to say.
mhm,
I was working privately with a woman who has been an attorney for almost 30 years. And God just kind of dropped in my spirit with her. I said, you've been fighting for justice for that long, because she's a prosecutor, but
wow.
there is so much injustice that she has tolerated in her own life personally.
Mm, mm,
And that's not an accident, because life is constantly showing you a mirror and giving you an invitation to say, these are the areas, these are your parts that still need to be healed.
yeah.
And so it's been beautiful to watch her come to her own defense.
Mm, ooh, mm. That landed there with me. Oh, mm,
That no longer are you going to sit there while you are fist and power to the people and ready to slam the law book down for everybody else, but for yourself,
mm,
there's nothing.
mm.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Not
And
a
for a lot of us, since this is May, Mental Health Month, a lot of our depression is us being on mute for
mm,
yourself, because pain has to have somewhere to go. And so if you're not getting your standing up in you, if you are away from home in the center of yourself,
mhm,
it's like, so where are all these emotions going?
mm,
And I don't, I'm more of an introvert, Queenie. I don't know about you, but I'm assume because you have such a sweet spirit that you're not,
mm.
most people are not outward. There are a few personalities that are like that, but a lot of times women, all that pain just goes inward.
Yeah, I definitely am. I turn it around, and unfortunately, it's a learned behavior to punish
Yeah.
me for the stuff that I'm
Yeah.
dealing with. Whatever the injustice is, I'm the one that's responsible because I'm letting myself
Mhm.
be there. So, which means
And
it's
I hope you
harder on
can
me than I need to.
hear what I was saying to you, that it's you did not learn that out in a vacuum. You probably learned it from the experience
Mm,
of whether that came from rejection,
mm,
whether that came from emotional neglect, somewhere in there, because I almost feel like we are born whole
yes,
until we are picked apart and fragmented.
yes.
Because babies just are free. Babies, they say what they want to say until we start telling them, don't say that.
Mm. Oh, girl,
Don't do
it just
that.
it makes me think about my daughters. I remember when I started to notice their faces change.
Mhm,
They start being so life filled and jovial,
mhm.
excited, and then the more pain they deal with, the more their face changes and their demeanor.
Yeah,
And it's heartbreaking to watch, but by virtue of being here in this human space on this planet with all these broken people, your face is going to change if you don't have the foundation to bring
yeah,
that back and to know that you don't have to,
yeah.
be overcome by it. Well, Melissa, I am so grateful for this conversation. We could talk all day, girl. We might need to have
Yes.
a part two. Uh,
Yes.
I wanted to just ask you, you said that you had a free gift that you wanted to offer to our moms.
Yeah.
What would that be?
Yeah, I want to offer, especially since we've been talking about soul wounds, I want to offer my assessment so that you can kind of read more about them and
Mm,
kind of have a little even fun with yourself, in the sense of let me check the box, let me see what kind of things do fall under me and my experience, and to help you to discern what is my primary wound.
mm, okay. So Power Moms, for those of you who are joining into our Power Moms VIP during the heart to heart, we're going to print it out and work on it ourselves together so that that will be something we can say we check that off. We know where we are and we can move on to the next. So thank you for your generosity with that. We do appreciate it. Now, where can people find you?
You can find me on social media at Soul Love Coach on Instagram. You can also, I do lots of video content on Facebook of Melissa Brown, the Soul Love Coach. And my website is soullovecoach.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Melissa. This was a rich conversation. I appreciate you taking a moment. My girls just rang the doorbell, so I'm gonna have to
I
timing.
understand. Yes, I know. Same over here. Same over here.
Right. So thank you so much for joining us today for the Empowering Girl Mom Show. We are excited about this journey, and I know that today's lesson and message was chock full. So be sure to join us tomorrow if you need to, or not if you need to, you probably need to listen to this over and over again. You will have 48 hours to rewatch this episode, and then it will be replaced with a new speaker. So make sure you do take advantage of that. And if you'd like to own the episode and have unlimited options and access to all of the recordings, become a power mom. Come on in with us and join us on this journey and go deeper. All right. So thank you again, Melissa. We appreciate you,
Thank
love.
you.
This was an honor and a joy, and we will be in touch. Oh, on on May 29th. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Wow, today's conversation was a bit deep, and honestly, I needed to hear it today myself. So I just wanted to remind you that when we begin our heart healing, when we decide to turn that mirror around and focus on the broken parts inside of us, the parts that have been wounded, the parts that we are holding, maybe some resentment or unforgiveness, or maybe there are parts that you've never even acknowledged, or wounds that you just kind of tucked under the rug. We've talked about that before, right? As moms, many of us don't have time to do heart healing. And honestly, we are the very first generation to even begin to think about healing our hearts, to think about going into therapy or getting coaching or getting support in the areas where we need the support. And the truth is, moms, we get to have support. And so I felt led over the last couple of weeks and months to put together a beautiful program. It's called the Mother Love Immersion. It is a 6-week heart healing online retreat for moms, and it's designed to take us under that rug and just to begin that heart healing process in a safe, loving container where we can together journey through the pain, but not with the intention to stay there. The intent is for us to go there so we can heal from it. I have learned in my own journey that sometimes you got to feel it in order to heal it. And so if you have not allowed yourself to feel the pain of whatever it is that you went through, and you've not allowed yourself to really just go there, it's time, because if you don't, it'll continue to bleed into your relationship with your children. It'll bleed into your relationship with money, with your love relationship. It bleeds into every part of your life. And so we have to decide to begin our heart healing journey. And this mother love immersion is a light introduction. It's not going to be a deep dive, because a lot of us have wounds that have just been there for so long. And the intent, again, is for us to learn how to process through it. And so I want to invite you, if you are ready to begin your heart healing journey, to put I'm ready in the comments. And I would love to have a conversation with you to talk to you about the Mother Love Immersion and what it can do for you and how it can transform you. And let this summer be the last summer that you carry the baggage. Let this be the last summer that you go without learning how to walk through your own heart healing process. And let this be the summer that you learn the skills to be able to support your daughter or daughters in healing their own hearts, because they're watching us moms. They're seeing how we deal with life. They're watching us tuck things under the rug when we've been violated or mistreated or spoken to in a way that was inappropriate, or even on the job. We tend to take things in as women and we don't know how to push them back out. So let me help you walk through that journey and we can do it together. Again, put I'm ready in the comments, and I will be happy to share with you more about the Mother Love Immersion, which again is a 6-week heart healing online retreat for moms. And it's, of course, not just open to moms, but if you're a woman and you're not a mom yet, you definitely are still welcome. But specifically, I want to target moms because what we're doing inside of motherhood is a reflection of the pain that we're carrying inside of our own hearts. So we get to heal that. We get to walk through that process, learn a new skill set, and be able to model and share that with our daughters. All right. So if you're ready to begin your own heart healing journey, put I'm ready in the comments, and I'll be sure to let you know more about the Mother Love Immersion. Okay. All right. Y'all be blessed. Thank you so very much. Yes, you get to process and learn how to move through your healing. It is the most important lesson and skill set that you can learn, because it's really, when you really think about it, our mother line, the wounds that your grandmother carried, she passed on to your mom, even if she didn't want to. Epigenetically, your mom was in her mother's womb when her mother was dealing with whatever trauma that she went through, and likewise, you were in your mother's womb when your mom was in the womb. Think about that. When we're born, we have all the eggs we'll ever carry. And so oftentimes we are carrying the woundedness from the past generations. So let's be deliberate about making sure that our next generation doesn't get that from us. And if they do, let's learn how to unravel it so that they'll know how to do that for their next generation as well. This is deep heart healing work, ladies, moms, and it's necessary for us to be able to up level and be who we've been called to be. So I'm grateful that you joined us. Thank you so much. Again, go to www.empoweringgirlmoms.com to learn more about this show. Catch all the replays. We're going to be replaying a lot of the interviews this week because they were so impactful. And in case you missed it, we want to give you one last opportunity to catch them. All right. Thank you so much again for joining. I'm Queenie Brown, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. You be blessed and take good care. Bye bye.